Well, this is the big day, the big moment.
Yeah. For what?
To see if they did what they did. They said what they said what they did in my office. I can't even talk today. Here we go. Oh my gosh, look. They didn't do any of it.
Nothing?
I can't believe St. John's would disappoint me. Okay, so although it is disappointing that there's no whiteboard today, I'm honestly not surprised. If I've learned anything working here at the Lonely Office Hour Mothership, is how to be disappointed with different ways of being disappointed. I didn't realize disappointment, which was like one gray color before I started working here, how many different shades of color disappointment can be when you work for university administration. Lucas is in the chat here, and I thought we might talk to Lucas, but he's not here, so I'm going to mute my microphone in Discord and talk about how Lonely Office Hour is really taking off, and we have our first fan mail. I'm going to share this fan mail with you because I think it's just wonderful. Katie Conroy writes, "Hi there. Buying an investment property can be a great way to build wealth. It's also a big risk. This is especially true for first-time investors. I'm going to be digging this topic because I'm saving to buy a second property rent. I wondered if your readers might benefit from the fruits of my labor." Well, Katie, hell no they won't. This is a totally... why did you even write this to us? This is really kind of weirdly dumb. Have you read the Substack? This has nothing to do with anything that we do here. Is there a space for investment property? Am I answering this too soon? No, I don't think so. In fact, I think I'm just going to block Katie. But continue listening, please. Continue watching the videos and make sure you like and comment and subscribe, even though I'm blocking you. So the email says Monday they're going to paint, when it's a holiday up here and there's nobody here doing anything, they're going to paint the wall and hang the whiteboard. So I hope this is going to be the case, but I fully expect to come in here on, when is the next time I'm going to be in here? Next Thursday. I fully expect to walk in here and find nothing done. I also have to fill out some forms, probably today or tomorrow, about the chalkboard not working in a couple of rooms, the plug's not working in a couple of rooms, just stuff like that. So never a dull moment around here. So in Discord here we have Lucas, and he just watched the episode about the student created rubrics, and we were just talking about it, and I think what he had to say is super interesting. So you had actually have done this as a student, right?
I did, yeah. When I was at St. John's, I had one that we did kind of co-create. It wasn't exactly co-creating a rubric, but what we did in the class was we co-created the final exam. So we had kind of a class discussion with all the students. It was a small class, maybe 12 students, and the professor, and we decided kind of based on what we'd done that semester and what we had read, what kind of areas of knowledge should, like, kind of was fair to evaluate us on semester, what standards of answers we should be providing, and then the entire final exam created in that discussion. So, you talked, Steve, about kind of the sediments of teaching a class multiple times, and basically we were completely unimpeded by our professor's sediments from having taught that class before, because he was just totally kind of let us roll with it. Definitely never did anything like that at St. John's or in grad school other than that time. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Did it work? I think that we were all very happy with it because we all got A's, right?
Uh-huh.
But in terms of like what's the actual objective? Like what are you aiming for when you do this kind of end of term assessment.
Yeah.
Because what we did was we spent probably an hour together discussing all the things that we discussed that semester and what we felt like we learned, what we felt like we understood and didn't understand. And then during the final exam period, we all went and we spent 2 hours together working through the problems that we had created for ourselves. You know, at the time as a student, I was like, oh, this is like kind of a freebie, blow off, whatever, everyone gets. But now looking back at it, thinking about like the things that I've instructor and the moments that I want to create for my students, the fact that like all of us were there in finals week for 2 hours working through, like having a discussion about course material without the professor present. I mean, that's like cool. That's so cool that like that was actually created. So I think that it's the idea, but the way that it was set up is like a kind of write your own group final assessment.
Yeah, like choose your own adventure kind of thing.
It gives the opportunity, I'm never sure, like, when a certain group of students doesn't do something right, or doesn't do something kind of up to the standards of, this is exactly what you were talking about. You have this idea in public school, right?
Yeah.
That by a certain point in the semester, your students should be giving a certain quality of speech, or they should have a certain skill up to a certain competency level, right? And if they aren't there, you think, what's wrong with class? So, whatever. And there was kind of an interesting opportunity because it wasn't him dictating to us what we over the course of that semester. It was us dictating to him what we did learn over the course of that semester.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really important distinction. So, we were just talking about this for the Lonely Office Hour. Janae, you're on the Lonely Office Hour now.
Yay!
Okay, don't try not to be too excited.
Janae, I'm so sorry.
That was pretty good. Thank you for the thoughts about the final exam design. That's kind of what I'm going for, is like, how do you get rid of that preconception? I think a pretty good way of getting rid of the preconception is to tell the students what they did learn instead of being like, well, why didn't you learn this? And most of the time when we're writing an exam or we're thinking about a project or exam, we're like, well, why didn't they learn what I wanted them to learn? But that's such an exclusionary way to look at it. Why not have them share what they did learn, and then you evaluate yourself and say, well, if there's something missing that should be here, how do I get it in there next time? How do I do that? Or how can I, with the time that we have left, how can I get that in there?
I have a rubric, obviously, that, of course, everyone does.
Yeah.
And it has, I do try to teach to the rubric in the sense that I have set up the rubric to, with my colleagues, we've set up to target certain outcomes that we want from the speech. But maybe instead of starting from that rubric, after we've talked about all these, going to say, okay, our speeches are next. What should I be looking for?
Yeah.
What does a good speech? Based on the understanding of a good speech that you've developed in the last month that we spent together in this class, what is a good speech? And then based on their standard of what a good speech is what I should be grading on, because their standard of what a good speech is going to be, I'm responsible for that. Like, that's whether it's what I intended to create or not, something that I've created. So I'm having my students take videos of their speeches. So when they go up to give their speech, they give their phone to someone who's sitting in the front.
Oh, and they film it on the phone. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so each student has their own speech video on their own phone.
Very good.
And then I give them all a blank rubric. I ask them to watch their speech video and grade their speech.
This is a really good idea. I've done this before, but I haven't thought about using the phone. The phone is such a pervasive technology, and it's all in the classroom already. Might as well use it. It's like the most powerful educational technology we don't use.
Yeah.
It's thought of as a threat to the classroom, but it really helps the classroom out quite a bit.
I had a teacher like that in high school. I think I had mentioned her before, Yano. And she was very, she ended up getting fired from my high school because she was very, anti-giving grades.
Badge of honor.
if this is how it's going to be, then like let's change the standard of it. And what does it mean when a student receives an A? What does it mean when a student receives a B? And so she would do, I think every 2 to 3 weeks, she would do a check-in with us. And we would sit at her desk and we would talk about what we've learned, what we would like to learn, and like what is our understanding of the subject at hand. I went to journalism high school, so it was like, you know, again, and I think that's core in teaching like a really good journalism class, is not saying that we couldn't write these certain topics. It's like, okay, if this is a topic you want to write, how do we build upon that? Or when we present and, you know, and we're taking research, how do we do that? I think, again, like kind of taking more of the class into consideration. I mean, of course, like teachers do that. There's a lot of yelling in the back. Today's my dad's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to your dad.
Yeah.